Hi mate, today we're going to talk about reverse lunges, what they're good, what they're bad for, how to do them and how not to do them. It's your complete guide. Let's check it out. Hi guys, this is Adam from Adam Movement Therapy and I help you return to the gym and stay there. So we're talking about reverse lunges. Now I'm just going to skip to how to do the reverse lunge and what things you need to look out for so you don't end up having issues when you're doing the reverse lunge. So as you said, the reverse lunge is you're just standing up nice and tall and then sitting back and then forward like so, okay? But there are a lot of problems that I do see in the gym when people are trying to do the reverse lunge, okay? The first mistake that people will make is they'll reverse lunge and their knee will fold in as they're doing the lunge, okay? So what we need to make sure we're doing is when we're doing any exercise is making sure that we're stabilising our hips and our shoulders at the same time. And what I mean by that is you've got to learn to break the bar or keep your shoulders in line with each other. We don't want the shoulders rolling forward or you rounding forward when you're doing any exercise or especially the lunge, okay? So usually people will do them with a set of dumbbells here like so. And what we want to make sure is we're thinking about bringing those dumbbells around us, okay, like so. Okay, so what I'm doing is I'm actually bringing the back of my elbows forward. If you see that, so that's forward. I'm thinking about that as I descend into the lunge. So what we want to make sure is as we're going down is I'm actually driving that knee over my second toe, pushing to the left, okay? And then as I'm going down, I'm thinking about the similar thing with my back knee, okay? So I'm driving out over my second toe with the front knee, and then at the same time I'm thinking about screwing this leg into the floor too. So I'm screwing that leg in the floor, and what that's doing is getting my glutes fired up and I'm feeling really stable as I go down into that lift. So those are really just the two basic things. If you get your shoulders right and your lower body right, it really should be a breeze for you. Now, a few of the main mistakes that people make is the stride length, okay? So some people, when they're doing the reverse lunge, is they'll try to reach way too far. And the problem is with that, if they reach way too far, you're probably gonna reach the end of your hip mobility and you'll end up compensating with your lower back. In other words, arching your lower back, and it becomes a lower back exercise. So just making sure that you're going for a bit of a medium length. So this would be probably too long. This would be just about right, okay? So when your knee comes down, it shouldn't be too far away from your front heel. Ideally, to make it a lot easier for you, if you just think about having your front knee at a right angle and then your back knee at a right angle, you're generally gonna be good, okay? That's not to say that you can do a longer stride or a shorter stride, but if you're just starting out at 90 degrees is a good way to do it. Now, another thing I wanted to address is the knee over toes thing. There is no issue with having your knee going over your toe unless you've got any kind of pain or issue and you've been told not to do that. Having your knee going over the toe isn't going to be an issue, okay? It's just gonna work different muscles, okay? So you can be doing a variation where you're reaching out, but you're driving your knee more forward over your toe, or you could be reaching back and you're sitting back into your lunge, okay? So let's talk about the positions here. So if my knee is more over my toe, it's gonna be working my quads a lot more, okay? Whereas if my knee is more at a right angle, it's in a better position to utilize my hamstrings, okay? So either is completely fine. Though if you're someone that ends up getting a lot of knee pain or issues, going to this position probably isn't gonna be the most fun for your knee, so stick to this kind of position, okay? If you're finding that your hips aren't that great or great mobile, you end up with a bit of hip issue, then maybe you should think about putting your knee over the toe so you don't have to sit into your hips so much. You also have to make sure that your heels are always firmly planted on the floor, okay? So we don't wanna be doing anything like this, where we're going back, going down, and then we're lifting up on our front heel, okay? If you find that you are lifting up on your front heel, you probably need to work on your ankle mobility. We also want to make sure that our feet and toes are in line with each other. So we don't want our back heel turning out too much. So if we go here, we want to think about having all our toes on the floor from big toe to little toe, because if we're cranking too much on that big toe, we're going to get a sore toe while we're doing it. So think about having all 5 toes on the floor and then pressing off. So with the torso position, depending on where your knee is traveling is going to depend on where your torso position is going to be. So if we're thinking about being in a more upright position, our knees are going to be more at right angles. In other words, we're going to be using our hips to drive up rather than our quads and whatnot. So if I'm going back and I'm sitting more into my hips, I'm going to be more upright in this position, okay? Whereas if I'm going more onto my knees using my quad a bit, I'm going to be leaning forward a bit more, whereas being more upright is probably going to make me overextend my back. I'm going to have to lean forward a bit. So these are the 2 positions. One's going to be like this, and the other's going to be a lot more upright. I'm really a big fan of the reverse lunge because it's a really great way for beginners to start off doing single leg movements. The reverse lunge is a lot easier than your forward lunge, okay? In your reverse lunge, you're in a lot more control in what your body's doing because you're stepping back, okay? And your body's in a better position to stop you from going anywhere else or going too far backwards. Whereas if you're going for a forward lunge, there's a lot more room for error. You could be holding some dumbbells here. You go take a step forward and all your weight's going forward and you have to really resist not going too far, okay? So what you'll find with a forward lunge, people take a big step forward and they'll find it really hard to stabilize or not drift too far forward. Whereas for your reverse lunge, I'm in a better position to stop myself from going too far backwards and then I'm in a good position to go far forward, okay? So with your forward lunge, you have to really push yourself back and it kind of puts you in a bit more of an unstable position. So the reverse lunge is going to be a lot better at hitting your hamstrings and your glutes or your posterior chain, whereas your forward lunges are going to be a lot better at working your anterior chain, which is more your quads, okay? To be honest, they're all great exercises, but if you're a beginner, I strongly recommend you starting out with body weight, going for your reverse lunges before you start doing forward lunges, and then going on to walking lunges. So anyway, there's my complete guide on reverse lunges. It is such a great exercise. As I said, it's a really good exercise for beginners. Single leg work is so underrated. So adding this exercise as an accessory to your squats and deadlifts is a great way to work it into your workout. Now, if you're finding that you're trying to get back into the gym, you've got a few injuries or niggles, but every time you go back into the gym, these niggles tend to come up or you end up back in pain. Well, I've got a special little guide called the 7 lifts to bulletproof your body after injury. So lunges are in this one. So it's got a little reference guide that you can read up before you go into the gym to make sure that you're doing the exercises correctly and the right way and the safest way, so you don't end up with injured again or in pain or hurting yourself in the future. I'll drop that guide in the description box down below for you to check out. Please make sure to give this video a thumbs up. And if you want to see more great content from me, please make sure to click the subscribe button. My name's Adam, and I help you return to the gym and stay there.